My perspective changed a lot once I was drum major and had to see what was going on behind the scenes. I think that, so when you're a first year, even a second year, you come into the band and everything is like magic. Everything is ready for you. It's done. And you don't realize how much work goes into all of that. You know, it's a lot of work. And so as drum major, you do a lot of that work. And you kind of make that magic happen for the band. But it's not really a burden because you remember what it was like to have that magic. You remember how incredible it was to be part of that. So now it's your turn to do that for the first years and second years coming in. And it's a really cool feeling. It's worth it to do it. But wow, a lot of stuff has to go into, even band camp. You know, even as a first year you walk in and you have to, you just walk into the room for the first meeting and the music is playing and the screen is already up and the chairs are all set up. And so, you know, it's great, like, wow, this is great, they're so ready for me. And then as drum major, you need to figure out how to get 300 chairs into the room. You need to figure out how to get the sound system to work, and you have to figure out how to get the right slide up at the right time. So it's definitely a learning curve. we do a lot of the logistical things. We do planning for the evening. We'll sit in our hotel room and count t-shirts, hundreds and hundreds of t-shirts and shorts. We will do all the printing and copying and getting all the music ready. We'll drink lots of coffee. I'll never forget, we religiously drank Starbucks Frappuccinos every day at 2:30. That was what we did. And it was the only thing that kept us going. One of my favorite memories was, I don't know if it was a favorite memory, but it was just so funny. I was the person who had to put the Who's News out every morning. So I had to wake up, the drum majors didn't really get to sleep until 3:30. So I would wake up at 6, and I would go get all the Who's News ready, because we would just finish it at 3, print out all the Who's News, and I would have to walk in and print it from Mr. Cook's computer. And Mr. Cook was always, no matter what time you went to bed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 6 a.m. He was ready to go. And I would come stumble in my pajamas, and I would just be so mad at the world because it was early o'clock in the morning, and he would just be, "Good morning, Aurelia, how you doing? Are you ready for another day?" And I would grumble something at him, and he would laugh at me, and that was how I woke up every morning. It's not magic. I thought it was magic, and then we had to write it every night. And I think the first night we thought it was a good idea to put a joke on it, and then we realized, now we need a joke every day. And so a lot of time would be spent finding a joke, and we thought, man, why did we start this? And we just felt like they got worse and worse because every night we would write them later and later and later. So it just kind of snowballed. But we got through it. So for some reason, we couldn't find the rest of my uniform at band camp when I was drum major. And we didn't really think about it until it came down to, it was 12 hours before the photo, and we found out that it was still in Indiana, I think. And so they had to overnight ship it. And I remember being so worried because I didn't have a uniform for the picture. And I'll never forget Kirby running down the side of the road, I think it was McCormick Road, with the box, literally 5 minutes before the picture had to be taken. That was a moment. I don't remember what year it was, but it was when we had the away game at Maryland, and it was freezing, pouring rain, and it was probably the worst weather conditions we could ever be in at a game. And the woodwinds had to put all our instruments away. We were in the raincoats. We felt like Michelin men. It was just miserable. But it was so fun, and we won the game. And that feeling, and I remember we did tag after the game, and I don't think that was probably the best tag we've ever done. It was so fun. So that's one of my favorite memories. There's just so many. I think that a recurring favorite memory is tunnels, waiting in tunnels. That's when everyone starts counting to 6, all the way down. I was in the back line for my first 3 years, so that's really special. That was fun. This is probably one of my favorite drum major memories. Kemper wasn't there though. Cook decided that he wanted to get everyone's vote on breakfast, and he decided this Friday night. And so everybody voted on these little tally slips And after the end of rehearsal, I don't know, 8:30, Mr. Cook comes up to us and says, "Can you tally these for tomorrow morning?" So Cameron, Stephanie, and I went to Stephanie's house, and we had to tally over 300 votes. People wrote the weirdest things. We had all the options for we had for beverages. We had orange juice or milk, and the number of people who wrote in water, because we weren't going to have water. People who ordered 6 breakfast sandwiches but said no cheese on 3 of them. That was fun. Well, I think we ordered Jimmy John's at 2 in the morning. House of the Rising Sun was the first one that I just loved listening to. I think Max Friedfeld played the solo on House of the Rising Sun. And that was one of my first shows with the CMB. And I was so blown away to be a part of that. Wow, it was what an amazing tune, an amazing player. So that was really incredible. Uprising by Muse was just fun. And then I loved Big Noise from Winnetka. We did the big band show for the first halftime show of my 4th year. No one else really liked it, but I really liked it. It was a good song. One of the coolest drill sets to do was during the drumline show, and oh gosh, I don't even remember the tune, but I remember that we made stick figures and we kicked the football. And I remember learning that drill, and I was in the foot, and we had to count to some crazy number, 57 counts, and then we moved. That was the whole show. It was like that. But how cool was that? That was so fun to make those stick figures. And then dances, the Thriller dance was really fun. That was a fun dance to do. And I always, when I think of the CMB visual, I think of the Z. We do the Z a lot, and the step touch. I can never go dancing without doing the step touch. Oh my goodness, that is forever ingrained. My favorite UVA football memory was when we beat Georgia Tech, and they were ranked. And UVA football during my time at UVA wasn't stellar, to put it lightly. But when we beat Georgia Tech, oh gosh, the fans all rushed the field, which they're not supposed to do. But they rushed the field, and we got to stay up in the stands and play for them. And I remember they all were dancing on the field right in front of us, and they were just loving us playing for them. And I never played so hard in my life, on my old clarinet. But still, it was such a cool feeling. My favorite bowl game memory, well, we only really went to one bowl game, so we went to the ChickfilA Bowl my 3rd year. And it was New Year's Eve, and it was after the game. And we all got off the buses, and we all got a giant circle, and we sang the good old song on New Year's Eve at midnight. That was really something. If I was going to be honest, Mr. Pease was like a dad away from home. He knows how to really push you, but he also knows when it's not a good idea to push you. He's so perceptive, way more than you would ever think, and I trusted him completely and his judgment, and he teases. He's a teaser. But I think, he's just a dad to everyone in CMB. So that was definitely how I saw Mr. Pease. Mr. Cook, I think we were pretty close, mostly because we didn't take each other's crap. So, to put it bluntly, I think that it was very much, he's funny. He's a funny guy. I can say that. But I definitely miss him, and it was so fun. I think I was closest to Mr. Cook because I worked in the office. And so I worked for him in the office, and really, when you work in the office, crazy things happen, and you got to deal with a lot of stuff you did not expect to deal with. And so I think that was so fun working with him in the office. We definitely ribbed each other constantly. My full name was Aurelia Khorsand, and it's awful. It's so long, longer than the alphabet, English alphabet. It's ridiculous. So I wanted to make sure that everything was in order before I moved to Wisconsin. Went to Social Security, and they said, oh, well, 7 years ago we got rid of hyphens and names. You have 2 last names. So it was a horrible bureaucratic mess. I had to go through all this administrative paperwork, and finally I was so sick of it, I went to the court and petitioned to change my name. And they took it, and so Masudi is gone. Aurelia Khorsand, with no U, Mr. Cook, no U. Mr. Izzer and I, gosh, I was so mad when he left, just so mad. I think I was pretty close to Mr. Izzer. He was a good friend of mine, and he still is a good friend of mine. And he was so great. He just, he wasn't the least awkward person in the world, but you just had to say, oh, Mr. Izzer, oh, buddy. I definitely missed him. He brought a lot to, I think the three of them together had a very special dynamic that you don't really get with other band directors. And I'm not saying it was a perfect dynamic, but it was definitely fun to watch. Oh, Mr. Khorsand, Big Daddy C. When he came in, so we were all new drum majors, and he was a new director. So he, bless his heart, he just wanted to do everything right away. And there's no way you can do everything right away in the CMB. There's just so much to learn. And he was filling some pretty big shoes for Mr. Izzer. Mr. Izzer had years and years to kind of perfect his job and know what needed to be done. So Mr. Khorsand came in, and he tried really hard. But they chose well. He fits in with Cook and Pease pretty well. I think the CMB has definitely changed between my first year, fourth year, and even now. I think that what I've noticed is that there are even higher standards from year to year. And it's not as if people are placing those higher standards on us. I think the CMB members themselves are giving themselves, they have higher expectations of what they can do. They have higher standards every single game. And you can tell with their performances that it's getting better and better each time. And you think that each year there's no way the band can top what they did last year, but they do. And I cannot wait to see how high those standards are in 5 years. CMB, as corny as it sounds, it's really made me who I am. I think not just being in the CMB, but those people, really being around those people all the time really has made me who I am. I think that especially trying to manage the schedule on a football game day is probably the only reason I can do my job now. Be a project manager. I think if you can handle that, you can handle pretty much anything. And then I think after being in the CMB, I feel like everywhere I go now, I want to look for that core family. I want to find those people who have the same values, who have the same passions, and it's so important to have that. You can't really be grounded unless you have that. So I think that being in the CMB made me realize how important that was, and you need to have that everywhere you go. Even if it's not a marching band, it could be anything, but you need to find it.